Tyron Woodley.
Jab down. He tries to catch the punch in front. And like a lumberjack, timber.
Is this the greatest moment of your life, Jake?
It's got to be the greatest moment of my life. Look at what I just did.
All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So, big night last night. We already talked about it, but we're going to talk about Masvidal because Masvidal is calling out Jake Paul. Look at that. Jake Paul called out Masvidal, and now Masvidal is calling out Jake Paul. And I got to be honest with you, I think that we saw the most likely scenario of Jake Paul fighting Masvidal in the Masvidal video, which I'm going to show it to you right now. Let's watch this real quick. Boom.
Shout out to Frank Gore. Shout out to Tyron Woodley. The wins or losses, man. Them dudes is dogs, always with you, man. Frank Gore, you got a hell of a career in front of you, my brother. Now to address that little bitch, what's his face? That fucker. Listen, man, you can't fucking afford it. You understand? Me and all the names that you mentioned, you can't afford it. I know everybody what you pay. When you talk a big game, you say $50 million here, $100 million there. Bullshit. If that was the case, Mayweather would have took the fucking fight with your bitch ass. But he hasn't because you don't generate that type of revenue. You're giving out free tickets. You got street teams giving out free tickets, man. Who the fuck are you selling dreams to? You can't afford me to come over. So let me tell you a little secret about me you didn't know. I fight for money or to fight the best in the world. You're neither. Do you understand? I know it hurts. But you're neither the best in the world or making money. I'll tell you what. Come on over to UFC. Sign a one-fight deal. Let Dana give you whatever the fuck he's got to pay you. I'll break your jaw in front of the whole world, man. I promise you that. If you really want it, come get it. Man-to-man shit. None of that boxing shit where I can't slam you on your spinal cord and, like, you know, leave you in a wheelchair for life. No, come on over so we can do everything. If you want it, it's here. If not, shit.
Now, first of all, Masvidal knows how to cut a promo. That's how you cut a promo, son. You get that out right after the fight. You get that out right after the fight. And you want to know why? Because he wants Jake Paul to come to the UFC to fight. Because why wouldn't he? Do you have any idea how much money Masvidal would make if he could actually talk Jake Paul into headlining a UFC show? So here's the thing, right? I know most people are probably like, why would Jake Paul go to UFC and fight Masvidal? Why wouldn't he? Honestly, why wouldn't he? You think that Masvidal is gonna like lower himself to take Jake Paul down? I don't. I think if he went in there and he fought Tyron Woodley, that'd be out of his. He'd be crazy. That would be crazy because Tyron Woodley would take him down and smash his face in. I mean, for sure. I don't think Masvidal would. I think Masvidal would make a point to stand up. Like, I mean, Masvidal's never taken anybody down. That's not what he does. That's just not what he does. He's the guy that's always trying to get away from takedowns. You know, maybe he'll clinch against the fence every once in a while, but not usually. Why would he change against Jake Paul? Seriously, it would basically be a bare knuckle or a boxing match with 3-ounce gloves. And Dana can pay Jake Paul for that fight. Believe that. Okay, if you can afford to pay Dustin Poirier $5 million base for the Conor fight, right? I mean, that fight sells like that. Like literally, that fight sells like that. Jake Paul. What do you think Jake Paul is making last night? I have no idea what he's gonna make. I know streaming is rampant for those boxing fights. I guarantee you that there are twice as many people streaming as that paid. Fuck, I don't like it, man. I really don't. Like, I really do think that people should get the money that they, you put on an event, people want to watch it, they should pay. I don't know. Anyway, but as far as UFC, they could pay Jake Paul, man. They can make that happen. And I highly encourage all of those things happening. Because what's Jake Paul going to do, dude? Honestly, what's he going to do? Like, what is he going to do? Nate Diaz is locked up. Maybe he'll be able to fight Nate Diaz, but if they just extended Nate Diaz, I can tell you for sure, the minimum that Nate would be extended for would be 6 months, probably a year, right? So at the very least, you're looking at 6 months before they could sign a contract. So Jake Paul's just going to sit there. He's going to let this sit for 6 months. He can't do that. This is a momentum game. Like, he needs to get his next fight scheduled very quickly while people are talking about him. And you know who knows that? Jake Paul. Jake Paul knows, dude. Jake Paul knows this game now. He made the best of every second last night. Knocks out, timber, gets on the mic, calls out Masvidal, calls out Diaz, biggest two names that he's realistically going to get. I mean, unless I'm saying, dude, the big one, give him Conor, dude. You don't know what to do with Conor. Give him Conor. You want to know what's amazing about the MMA community? No one actually cares how good of an opponent someone is. Like that's the crazy thing. I was just saying this to somebody yesterday because I could literally overload you with evidence as it relates to this point. No one remembers how good a person's opponents were unless you're talking about someone who doesn't have a name yet and is on an 8-fight win streak. It's another one of these rules that I realized. I understand the MMA community because we're very consistent. We're very consistent. And so the only time where you see a guy really nitpick a person's opponents is when it's someone like, as an example, Charles Oliveira 2 years ago. And it's like, he's won 7 in a row. He's all, who'd he beat, man? Who'd he beat, okay? But when someone with a name beats someone, dude, he could beat a guy who's washed up for 25 years and no one remembers, you know? Like you put a guy like Conor in there with, it doesn't matter who, okay? And then he goes and he puts on a clinic and he knocks him out in the first round. People are like, he's back. He's back. He's back. And you're like, I could have beat the guy that he just beat, you know? Like it's just, it's because it's what people want to believe, you know? At the end of the day, the mixed martial arts community and fight fans in general, you believe what you want to believe. And so like guys who have a lot of hype behind them, it's like, you know, they knock out a nobody. You're like, but he not, you know, and you're like, yes. And if it's a person that you're not interested in, they knock out 7 people, you're all, nah. Because really, you just don't care about them fighting yet. You don't care whether they fight or not. So you just tell yourself what you want to believe. So you put Conor in there with Jake Paul, and you know he gets a highlight knockout. That's great for Conor. And if Jake Paul, by some fucking miracle, beat Conor McGregor, oh my God, you might have the biggest. You might sell more pay-per-views than you did with Brock Lesnar. Like, don't think the UFC won't do a sideshow like that. Don't think for a second that they wouldn't explore signing Jake Paul if Jake Paul was serious about doing MMA and he went and trained with Khabib and them. And man, I'm going to say this, dude. He goes and trades with those guys. You might need to look out for that guy. I mean, Tyron Woodley's never been knocked out like that. He's never been knocked out. He lost a bunch of decisions when he wasn't throwing punches. Dude, he was unconscious while still vertical, dude. I mean, that's with a boxing glove on. That was a titanic shot, dude. Seriously. So, anyway, that was an awesome promo that Masvidal cut, though. Love you guys. Peace.